gorgeous souls. Welcome to CosmoMuse Tarot. Today we are going to be doing a reading to get a really good picture of who you are as reflected by spirit. So getting kind of a higher perspective on who you are. And we are going to look specifically at three things. Because I want this to be partially confirming with things you would already know and be like, yeah, that totally is me. But I also want to give some illumination into things that would be helpful to get a better grasp on about yourself. So there's three categories. First, we're going to look at things that you're actually quite unaware of in yourself, like they may be shadow aspects of self or aspects of yourself you haven't explored, but maybe have an inkling is there and you've just never really found like opportunity or have had some resistance or, whatever it is, like some aspect of yourself that just isn't hasn't ever been very present, that spirit wants to bring more forward for you into the spotlight, into some development. And then we're going to look at a part of you that you do have like a real clear understanding of, that should be more of that part where it's like, yeah, that confirms, that sounds like me, right on. But it's always nice to get confirmation, and maybe there will be some insight in there that like even more sharply brings certain things into focus. And then the third thing we're going to look at is something that you are aware of but you're totally underestimating about yourself, that you have like elder status in, but that maybe you don't recognize that other people aren't as good at as you. So really getting this picture of maybe where you're underdeveloped, where you're right on, you're clear, you're kind of like in that beautiful aware development with, and then something that you're just like, yeah, that's like really, really developed, but it's sometimes hard to see that in us, that like are real huge strengths. A lot of times we don't, because something might come second nature to us, we don't understand that it's special, right? That's kind of where we're coming from. And my intention and where the idea came for this was, I every once in a while have these moments of like, I will be talking to someone who's like either really confident or a little bit insecure, and I have these moments of like, what would it be like to be in their head? Like, where does that confidence come from, or where does that inability to fully see your beauty come from? And then that always gets me even like spiraling and like, what would it be like if I could be in anyone's head at any time, and how would that help me to better understand my resonance, and like where I over or underestimate myself, or like, why, I don't see certain things, or, just like, so it's in a way sort of this tuning fork, using spirit who is part of the all and understands all the energies, that can give us that tuning fork of like, okay, you don't need to be in anyone's head, because I'm going to help you to get really in sync with where you are in relation to the world right now. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Going forward, we have 4 piles, and your piles are going to be based on the tarot deck that will be used in your pile. Of course, there's going to be lots of other, oracle cards and such in your readings, but a portion of your reading will have tarot cards as well. So you are going to pick your insight into yourself through the deck. So the deck one is the Radiant Wilds Tarot, and I'm just going to randomly cut the deck to show you one card example from each. So we've got 3 of Wands, so that's the Radiant Wilds Tarot deck. We've got Tarot of the Divine for pile 2. 8 of Coins, so that's sort of an example from this deck. Pile 3, I believe this is just called the Tarot. It's a friend of mine got it from a thrift store for me back in the East Coast of the US. And it came with like a little guidebook, but not a box. And from what I can tell, it's just called the Tarot. So 10 of Cups, that's sort of how that deck looks. And then pile 4 is the Tuatha de Danann Tarot, which is like a mythical Celtic tribe based on it, as well as on Arthurian legend. And 6 of Grails, so that's how that deck looks. So I'm going to give you a moment. I'll clear my hands out so you can pause here and sort of tune into the energy of these decks and feel into which one you feel has the messages that align to insight into you, into who you are. So once you're ready, I will see you in your readings. Timestamps are in the descriptions to jump straight to your pile. I will see you there. Hello, gorgeous pile 1. Welcome to your reading, where we are going to get insight about who you are from the perspective of spirit, sort of as a tuning fork to help you understand in relation to the current world, sort of how you fit into this world, who you are. Yeah. Okay, so you guys picked the Radiant Wilds Tarot deck. We will get to the tarot soon, so I'm going to put this to the side, but I did have intention with the different tarot decks that give like a very, very general flavor to you guys. So picking the Radiant Wilds definitely indicates to me that you guys are a little bit more of the, in general in the world. A little bit more of the thinkers, a little bit more willing to be out of the box, to stir up energy, to you don't necessarily have to be overly social, but you at least enjoy connection with others, whether that is through, communication and engagement or observing, but stimulated by kind of, being out, moving, exploring, thinking, engaging with others, that kind of thing. But definitely also not scared to kind of like be outside of the box a little bit. Okay, so we'll get to your tarot soon. First, we are going to, actually, I'm not going to take it out of frame. Okay, we are going to look at what it is you maybe don't really see in yourself, a side of you that is very much so part of your design, part of who you are, but hasn't really had an opportunity to be developed or to have a lot of awareness of. And I think the reason why this is coming up now is it's sort of like Spirit saying it's time to become more aware of this, to work with this, to pull this aspect of you more to the forefront. So we've got growth and plants, and I definitely feel, like the energy, this feels like a moose to me, or an elk. I think it's more of a moose, but well, let's see, maybe it's an elk. Anyway, either way, kind of this really stable, almost father-like archetype, this energy in you that knows how to create structure and protection and reaching and aspiration and focus and expertise in things, really like stabilizing energy, authoritative energy, that really helps everything because of that stability, not only does that allow you to have a lot of like integral growth, but you can provide that protection for other things also to grow. So even like teacher energy too here. So something about this that is needing to be considered more, recognized more. It's like maybe you have an inkling of this or something and you've always kind of wriggled in your mind of like, yeah, I feel like this thing is here, but I don't really know how to do something with it, what to do with it. Or I don't feel confidence in it, like, how would I find footing here? But Spirit is saying this is something that it wants to bring awareness to you because certain events and circumstances in your life are going to pull this more forefront, and you're going to start developing this a lot more and needing to lean on this part of yourself that is already part of your design. It's not like, yes, we can always develop parts of ourselves more, but it's something that's like natural in you, and it's going to be further pulled out of you, and so it's worth, getting that awareness of that. Okay, we're gonna get a little more context around this. Ooh, the shaman, interesting. Okay, so I'll push those back up when we go to the next row down. So the shaman, this feels like it's an energy that knows how to, hold on one second, Indy, what do you have? I don't know, my dog just came in and is eating something. So back to the reading. Yeah, being able to, this might be referencing where you have kind of that structure, that ability to let things grow is in realms that are a little bit mystical, a little bit otherworldly, and also in the realm of being able to work with shadow and work with healing, being able to, like the shaman is someone who in a community can really help with some community healing, being that person to go to when you feel like you need some power retrieval, some soul retrieval, some general kind of healing. So that might be something you actually have some really beautiful strength naturally in, like you may come from a lineage anciently of those who have shamanistic connection or training, but something's going to be pulled forefront, and it doesn't have to be like literally being a shaman, but you're like someone who knows how to hold space for people to do deeper work, so counseling, and oh my gosh, what, my dog is throwing a fit in here, you guys. I always take that because rarely do my dogs interrupt my readings. And it's always one of them, Indy, who does. And I feel like when he comes in, he's like adding, like speaking, he's very sensitive energetically. And I feel like he's speaking to something here. He's kind of whimpering, he's anxious. He probably wants a walk, even though it's nowhere near time when we give him a walk. But he's restless. This is something in you that's restless, that's like, can we be used already? Can we come to the forefront already? So you may have a sense of what this is. But yeah, I mean, literally you could train into like, some shamanic work, or just be someone who really knows how to hold space and how to bring things forward in people, to help them, like a mentor, how to help people mature into strengths they need some work on, really helping people to get aligned with themselves and recover parts of themselves and retrieve aspects of themselves. for sure. Okay. But there's something just very stable, mentoring that you have capability in, and you just really haven't, I don't know, I just get the sense that maybe you needed to grow up first to be able to hold this part of your design. Like you needed to come into just a certain age or something. Okay, let's look at, I'm also going to get like a category of life, 6th. So it could be what the area of life that may start to pull this out of you is like the work you end up doing, literally starting to become a mentor in some way, or just like new work that you come into, you sort of end up in this role. Just it kind of just unfolds that way. Not that like you're getting a role that is that, but like part of your day to day ends up bringing that part of you forward. Like your colleagues really may lean on you as a support, and you may find a lot of fulfillment in being able to guide and help people. Wellness, lifestyle. Maybe you are getting into some kind of lifestyle area you're feeling called into. Okay, let's get some tarot cards on this. 9 of Cups. Oh, all of them came out. 7 of Pentacles, King of Wands. And I forgot to get, there was another card I was going to get before those, but we'll just read them all together. And this card is meant as some kind of guidance for you. So pilgrim, opportunities, growth. Yeah, some kind of opportunity. I feel like it's a work opportunity is coming your way that's really going to pull this out of you. And you're going to see like how, like it's going to feel really fulfilling to start working with this part of you. Which, going back to my dog, I think you're eager. I think you do have an inkling of this, and you're really eager to feel this part of you come forward. But yeah, I think it's some new work opportunity that's going to give you growth. I mean, we have growth here and growth here, where you're going to help grow things, grow people, but you're going to grow as well, this part of you. But you're going to be a real shining light there, and it's gonna, with the 9 of Cups, it's gonna feel very fulfilling, like a wish, like a part of a way you've always wanted to feel. You will start to feel that, and a lot of just beauty reflected to and from you coming through here. A lot of really being able to use the full spectrum of who you are will be felt. And you feel like you're going to be investing in yourself in a way that you've craved to invest in yourself for a long time. And you're really going to also feel your creative authority as very strong here. So really beautiful. And then let's get a little bit of like a bit of a fortune, I guess you could say, from the animal kingdom about this. Starfish, intuition, listen to your soul's truth, think less, feel more. So yeah, I mean, I feel that, you know, with my dog, that anxiety, it's like your heart is eager, but maybe your mind is kind of getting in the way of like stepping toward this in some capacity. And so it's like, if there's new work opportunities, new areas to engage in your purpose, it's kind of time to like take some action to alleviate that anxiety, because yeah, this is coming out. So follow your intuition. There's a deep knowing in you about what to do and some steps to take to really get to some growth opportunity, work opportunity, lifestyle opportunity that's I mean, I feel like it's right here. It's about to happen. Really cool. Okay, next we are going to look at the part of you that you're very aware of, that this should feel just more confirming. The part of you you're aware of that you are very conscious of, that you've worked with a lot, that you understand. So we have discipline and time. I mean, overall, you feel like a very seasoned, like someone who's worked hard in your life or really focused on specific things. Or you like know how to devote yourself to things. Agape. I don't know how to pronounce that. I feel like I want to say agape, but it might be agape. Anyway. And then let's roll, where did my dice go? Let's get a different dice. See what area of your life this is pointing to, your 8th. So empowerment, really understanding what your power is, how to share it, what other people's resources and power are, and how to engage those things to share with you, like kind of an exchange of resources. It's like social sharing, social resources, how to engage in the social resources, in the resources of others, in empowerment, in really understanding what your power is too. Discipline and time, along with devotion, which is what this card means. So like a loving devotion. Yeah, I feel like you're really seasoned in having like developed your connection to being, I don't know, intimate with life, vulnerable with life, like you know how to be vulnerable, you know how to be vulnerable with others, you know how to create the space for others to be vulnerable with you, which is really in that intimacy that promotes that sharing quality, especially of our power and our resources, that social sharing energy. So there's something very integral. That's what's coming through to me. There's like something very integral and responsible and trustworthy, because there's like a sacredness, there's like a devotion to knowing that like you understand that true power is actually empowerment. And if your empowerment isn't empowering others, and other people's power and empowerment isn't empowering you, it's like you really understand that relationship, that power is a social thing. It's not a personal possession. It's a social resource. And I think you have a really strong devotion to that, understanding of it, a strong integrity with it, and a strong credibility with it, because over time your character has shown that understanding. It's really powerful. Okay, I keep forgetting to do this card first. So let's get some guidance from Spirit on maybe something you need to know right now about this part of you. The Wise One, tradition, order. Yeah, I mean, this is just confirming like you have a very kind of devoted, focused understanding of this. You may have a lineage. There's a lot of lineage stuff coming through here, which is interesting, but like a lot of lineage and understanding what power is and how to use it, and how to access it, both in yourself and in the world, and recognizing that there's really wise ways of engaging that, and there is tradition and there is order in that. Power being a social thing, well, empowerment at least, power sometimes isn't, but empowerment is very social. There's modeling of this that we can look back on through history to understand, different people throughout history that really understood this. And through that, we're really able to create empowered order in their communities, right? In their social scenarios where their empowerment was. And it's like a really good reflection of communities and societies that are truly powerful is looking at the least powerful. And if the least powerful in a society still has some empowerment, is still has access to social sharing, there's something to be said for that, and I think you understand that. Okay, let's get a few tarot cards. Woo! Well, this one wants to come out, King of Cups. Yeah, very caring strength, a very caring strength in you. Four of Wands, you really know how to create structure too in community, and know what to celebrate in your communities, how to celebrate. And then the Lovers, which sometimes can be sort of that like Adam and Eve journey, them being shoved out of the Garden of Eden because they've entered into very material paths. But that is our human path. It is an embodied path. To me, this is showing that you sort of have this deeper understanding that we are kind of spiritual beings living in an embodied material life, and you get that like the material, the resources aren't exactly the point, or like exactly the power. It's like our spiritual centering is, but you understand that that is the construct we live in, and so how to wisely utilize the material realm, how to have that good perspective of that, like we don't leave this life with any of that, but we should be engaging it in a way that is, socially empowering. So like a really good perspective here of what power is, and why resources should be shared in a social way versus a personal way. Okay, another card from Spirit, kind of guidance, squirrel, spiritual maintenance, be your own caretaker. You know how to organize resources, social resources very well. Yeah, so this row should be some confirmation for you, for sure. But more than anything, whether you're in some kind of powerful position to do anything with this, it's like you inherently understand this. And maybe in your own sort of unit, you do a really good job of like organizing the social resources to empower everyone that's sort of in your sphere. Some of you may have more, greater positions of power that affect, bigger spheres of social sharing. But minimally, you at least conceptually really understand this. It's very important to you. Yeah. And it's a beautiful energy, and something that, on some level you're definitely aware of, and doing really well at. Okay. The last part of you we're going to look at is something that you are exceptional at, but you don't understand because it's just like second nature, and you're like, well, isn't everybody kind of that thing? It's like, no, no, not everybody is exceptional at this, but like something you need to see better, right? so that you can use your exceptional qualities with more with a more owning of how much it's needed because it's unique. The soul, passion. To me, it's your way of seeing, the way you see life. Let's see if I can get this to fit. I was trying to make the frame of this video big enough to capture all 3 rows. Just have to adjust this. Sorry, it'll probably get a little bit messy because, well, good enough. Okay, the soul and passion, and to me this feels very, very deeply like the way you see life and the way you understand life is coming from a deep soulful place. Like you're very very expertly, I don't know if I want to use that word, very honed in and solid and deeply connected to your interiority, your inner values, your heart, your inner values, your intuition, your instinct, kind of like really connected to the more yin aspect of really understanding the inner world. And that's your lens. That's how you see life. You don't use a lot of, there's always certain aspects of life that maybe we are unsure of. We don't have like great mental concepts around. And so we need modeling, and we need to kind of see how other people are doing something to start understanding it for ourselves. And so that, there's aspects of all of us that have like things we're not great at, and so we kind of look to others, look for modeling in it. But this is saying that there's very little in you that needs to do that, which makes me feel like you're a very old soul, which would make sense because you have this like old growth and time and discipline, and then this thing that like, yeah, you just don't realize that like you're really, there's very, very little exterior to you that you need to reference to understand what you want, what you need, how you're seeing, how to see. So you see from a very, very interior inner compass. And it makes your passion very pure, coming from a very authentic place. And that, my friend, is unusual. That is not normal for everyone. And it's something that you probably just assume everyone does and has, but it's not. I think in aspects of all of our lives, we all have parts of this. But I think there's a lot of aspects of most people's lives that they're taking the temperature outside of them and gaining, collecting and categorizing and looking for modeling and this and that to help, build an understanding and create an understanding of something about life and themselves. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You're just like so inwardly solid. Yeah, and it's pretty remarkable thing. So definitely like old soul material. And the tear, look at the eyes. You've got eyes and eyes. Vulnerability coming through here. You don't have to watch a movie, listen to music, hear someone else talk about their own experience, be at something or somewhere where other people are crying, or like, you don't need these external things to be able to tap into your vulnerability and to release emotion and feeling that you have, that just is naturally arising in you. You know how to be vulnerable. You have no problem with being vulnerable. You have no problem with letting an emotion out when you feel it. I do think there's a lot of people that it's like something, like some drama has to happen in their life, or they've got to listen to a music or see a movie or something that like helps them to release or unlock a vulnerability or release an emotion. But it's like you don't need those. You don't need to create dramas. You don't need to go through experiences. You don't need to watch something or see someone else release. It just happens naturally for you when it needs to happen. You don't keep anything pent up. And this isn't saying like you're a mess and you just can cry on demand every time you feel something, but it's like there's just like this easiness in you about like when you feel you need a release, you just have it. You don't have to create external things in your life. You don't have to go through mental health issues like severe anxiety or projecting things in order to get reactions that help you to then feel and release. You know, like you're just so inwardly in tune with yourself. You don't, it's like you just don't need any of the things so many people need in order to just release what needs to be released and to be vulnerable and open to life. Let's get, actually I want to get a planet on this one. Jupiter. And this about you makes you really easy and open to risk and pushing boundaries and expanding life and feeling optimistic about life. Really gorgeous. Okay, let's get kind of a guidance about this. The Hunter, sure-footedness, predestination. Yeah, it's like you know what you want from life a little more, whether you recognize it or not. If you, again, it's that thing, like if you were to be in other people's heads, if you could go into, in an instant, into 10,000 different heads, like you're a computer, and just download and then, get the data. Or a million, if we're going to do it that way, 10 million people's minds, you would come out of that data compression being like, oh, I am so much more sure than most people about like my sense of self and what my focuses are and what I want from life. Because this row is indicating something you're not very aware of. So you may sort of feel like you don't have that, like, I don't know, I feel like everyone else is so much more sure and sure-footed than me. But if you were to have that experience, you would come out and be like, no, I am actually doing really well here. So it's just like something Spirit wants you to know, like no matter if you feel like you're a sure-footed person or like really know your focuses in life, you at least should feel a lot more confident about that than the majority of humanity. Okay, Eight of Swords. Yeah, I think you actually don't get this at all about yourself. Six of Cups and Wheel of Fortune. Okay, what I feel here is like, I bet this resonates with you as like childhood. I bet you visit childhood memories and you're like, I have been like that, but I don't know what happened. I no longer feel like that. I no longer feel like I know my targets, and I'm sure-footed, and get that I have like such a strong interior compass. I feel stuck with that, like something's not registering about that. But if I think back on childhood, I connect to this very deeply. So like, why don't I connect to it now? And I think it's just a phase of life that you've been in. Sometimes we have to let go of parts of ourselves, lose parts of ourselves, to then know when it comes back, or when we reconnect with that part of ourselves, like how powerful it is. So sometimes we don't understand the potency and the beauty of things until we haven't had them. And I feel like maybe you needed to, like your soul decided it needed to experience kind of feeling cut off from this for a bit. But it's being excavated. It's coming up, and it's something that's so strong in you. It's so strong. But I think you just had to go on some non-sure-footed journeys to recognize, once you get this back, once it's re-excavated, like how impressive this is. But what this is saying is the Wheel of Fortune is here, and this is about to come back to you. And it could even be just hearing this, you know, that this is so impressive about you, to just be like, oh, I recall that part of myself. I'm going to call it back and stand in it. And like, it's not like it necessarily left, but it's just like you weren't, it's like these eyes closed. You didn't see them, that they were there. And it's like, oh, open your eyes. It's here. Like, it's already here. You're already in it. This isn't something that leaves you. You were just sort of blind to it, but maybe you needed to be blind to it for a while. So that when you opened your eyes again, it was like, okay, that's such a beautiful part of myself. But yeah, something's happening that's opening your eyes again to this part of yourself. Some circumstance in life is shifting this. Okay, last card. Cat, speak your truth. Have strength, faith, and conviction in your voice. It has never been more needed. So maybe, you know, the phase that the world is coming into is really kind of shaking this up in you. And you start to see that you actually really need to use that sure-footedness and that real deep connection to inner compass and soul, to be someone in the world that can kind of speak truths without having to source truths, right? That has this really strong inner compass that's like needed right now, and you need to like put it out. This is the cards and spirit saying it's time to open your eyes to this part of yourself that's still there, but you're just like unaware or something. Because it's the time in history, or the time in your personal journey, where the strength of this is very needed in the world, not just for you. So yeah, it's about to come into a different, very different season that's much more external, and needing to use your inner compass to be a gauge for others, to be that thing that other people look to model their own concepts and understandings, right? Okay, wow. This is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, always appreciative of support, likes, shares, subscribes. Always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments. Really amazing people. Very impressed with you pile ones. Love to know who you guys are. Just like really, really strong people. Whether you feel that or not, and I do, you know, certain things I saw in here, I don't know that you feel that right now, but you the cards are indicating that you're more and more coming into this moment of like really getting this about yourself and stepping into it. So, okay, have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are, and I hope to see you in future readings. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading where we are going to get some insight from Spirit about who you are. So the first thing we are going to be looking at is, what about you are you actually somewhat unaware of that is being called forward by Spirit because it's something that's about to be called forward in your life to be more developed? So it's sort of like something that is like a raw, natural talent in you, but it's being called forward very soon to turn more into a skill versus sort of this raw thing in you. So yeah, Spirit wants to make you aware of it because something's about to happen with this aspect of you that is part of you. It's part of your design, but it just hasn't really been accessed much yet. So movement and speed, and I'm trying to make space for 3 rows, so this gets a little bit shoved up under the plant. And then some movement and speed. The mountain, interesting. Okay. These feel kind of contradictory. I'm going to roll one of the astrology dice to see if that helps bridge what these are for me. The second house is about personal values, personal resources, self-worth. Okay, I do have a sense that's coming through here. That it's like there's a part of you that is like a little bit of a butterfly that needs expression, movement, travel. That for whatever reason, I don't know if it's been sort of the circumstances of your life or something that you were made to believe for some reason that wasn't great about you, or just has never naturally had things pull it out of you, life pull it out of you. But part of your design is that you are built for speed, communication, movement, being sort of this connector, being a polymath, which is someone that's is like the modern version. I don't love this word, but if you look at it in the modern term, I think it can be, I actually find it very beautiful, but like the dilettante archetype, we kind of think of as this lightweight and silly and like doesn't focus, but in the modern world that equates also to like a polymath. So someone who, if you went to school, you could just as easily get a master's degree in linguistics, graphic design, economics, and sculpture or something, like you could do, like your mind is very flexible and agile and you can be a jack of all trades. But in this modern world, people who are able to do that and be a jack of all trades are actually like these connectors that are able to look at this industry and that industry and that industry and be like, actually, there's a lot of patterns of things that you guys could connect on and be making much more impact in the world if you did this. And so even though you may struggle to be like an expert and focused in one thing, it's your agile energy that's able to synthesize, connect, and link up different aspects of life that you wouldn't normally think of, but when they're linked are really impactful and really powerful. And this is saying that you actually have like deep mastery in this. And that this is something that you should really stand in your power in and be like, it's funny. This is saying that like, in the traditional sense of having a focus and an expertise you don't have, but you have a focus and an expertise in a polymath ability. And this is saying it's something that could make you money. It's something that could really enhance your self-worth, and something that you should be using your voice with as well. But something in life is about to pull this more forward. So it's time to, like, if you have had any judgments on that kind of aspect of you, it's time to kind of shed that, because your soul growth is about to really pull this part of you forward. Okay, we're going to get a guidance card from Spirit about this. The Weaver, rediscovery, transition. Yeah, I think you're about to rediscover this aspect of yourself, like maybe as a child, like that was fun and impressive, but then once you got into like high school and people start thinking about, whether or not you went to college, but like people around you at least are thinking about college and like, oh, what are you going to do when you grow up? And all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't know. I can do a gazillion things. Why do I have to pick one? But that's what people do. And so maybe you sort of like checked that polymath aspect of you at the door and we're like, okay, time to find the thing I want to do. And it's being rediscovered in you of like, oh, well, a thing I can do is be a polymath. That's what I do. And yeah, it's going to create a transition in your life. It's going to really alter some of the general design of your life right now. So get ready for life to be a little bit more movement oriented and interesting and connective and pulling out all the different variety and interests in you, and yeah, just being that butterfly you are, but not in this just like, oh, I just like to do things, but like with this purpose of like, but I'm weaving something here. I'm weaving together things people wouldn't think about, and creating tapestries and making the world more colorful by the connections I'm able to bring together and the designs I can think of. And yeah, it's like you guys are the people that bring color and tapestry to the world. Yeah. Okay, so let's get a few tarot about this. 9 of Cups. I love that because this came up for this row in pile 1 too, and it's sort of like this aspect of yourself that really hasn't been able to be pulled forward is like when it starts coming out, it will feel like a wish fulfillment. It's going to feel so fulfilling. But then we have 5 of Cups and the Chariot. Interesting. I don't know why this came to me. This 5 of Cups makes me feel like what I was tuning into earlier, that I think as a child this felt natural to you. And I think you've been grieving that on like a subconscious level since you had to check it at the door, or since it got checked at the door for some reason. Yeah. And it's like you're returning from being at 5 Cups. It's like you are naturally able to remove 4 and focus a little more. It's like your natural state, your polymath self is 9 Cups. At some point you are able to kind of whittle it down to 5 because people are like, well, find your focuses. What do you want to do? And you're like, okay, well, I can take a few things off the plate. But then like even further, as you got further and further into maturity, it's like the world knocked 3 of those 5 cups over because it was like, no, focus even more. You're still too scattered. And I think you've been in a lot of grief for like only living out of the 2 of the 9 cups that you were born with that are part of your design. But you're about to reclaim all 9 and being like, I don't care. Whoever said I need one focus, like, was so uninstinctive about my strengths and possibility in the world. And you're going to feel life really starting to move forward and quickly with speed. Again, like you're regaining a whole aspect of your design that you kind of checked at the door at some point. And it's just like embracing, like, yeah, I am a butterfly, but a butterfly doesn't have to just be a meanderer. It can cross-pollinate with purpose. Like, I'm not just going to a flower because it's a beautiful color. I'm now seeing connection. I'm weaving something like, hey, this flower and that flower actually have something in common. Let's weave a thread here and see what happens. Instead of just being like, I'm going to go here because that's pretty. Oh, look at that's pretty and that's pretty. It's more like, oh, I see a connection, so I'm going to pollinate here. I hope that makes sense. Okay, one last little message about this part of yourself, of who you are. Chameleon, I love that soul tribe. It's safe to be seen. It's safe to pull this part of you out. And because then you're being more authentic to who you are, more in alignment with who you are, you can be the chameleon you are, but also you don't have to be a chameleon to protect yourself. To be like, I am this tree because that's what life told me I should be, to try and feel safe. It's like, oh no, well, now I can just claim like, oh no, I'm not part of this tree. I am a chameleon and I can be any tree I want and any plant I want, and look at my colors and how great they are. And don't you wish you had this ability? And you understand your chameleonness now and are proud of it and are starting to be authentic and open with it, and it calls in more soul tribe, and you feel just in general more safe to be seen because you're recognizing this as a strength. Okay, beautiful. Okay, next we are going to look at a part of yourself that will be more like confirmation. This is a part of yourself you've been working with, you're conscious of, sort of like who you think you are right now, because you are that, but it's just like the main focus of like how you experience life right now, what you've been focused on, what aspect of you is forefront, conscious. Yeah. So Fury, bushfires, interesting. Okay, let's get another archetype card. I felt this bottom one. The Ring, which is your sense of wholeness and self. It's also about seasons and cycles and understanding life as very cyclical, with bushfires and fury. To me, this is indicating that you're very comfortable with cyclical living, with things having a rhythm and having life cycles. And part of life cycles isn't always growth. Part of life cycles is destruction and dissolving and endings and rebirth. And so I feel like the bushfires is indicating like something you've really come into a deep understanding of is this aspect that like, in a way, life is not always growth. I do feel like even when we come into a new cycle of something, it is sort of like a level up. So there is continuous growth in that way, but within each cycle, there's losses, there's destruction, we have to have decomposition for other things to feed upon, and for, new seeds to develop, and to feed just the ecology of things, cycles that are incubating. And I don't know if for some of you lately you've been experiencing that downturn, like part of your life, but like with an awareness and so an acceptance of like part of your life is just in that downturn. It's sort of like there's aspects of life that are coming into end of a phase. And so you're just sort of allowing that ending to be, and whatever goes, goes. Like you don't have control of it. And you're just sort of in this acceptance of it. So it's like showing like part of your design is like understanding that, but also right now you may be specifically in that understanding of cyclical nature of life, kind of going through that moment of an old cycle kind of deteriorating. I feel an acceptance, even though this card says fury, I feel an acceptance with it, but it doesn't mean that there can't be frustration. Especially if like at any given time there's someone's and different people are in growth phases and different people are in ending phases where things are kind of falling apart. And so it's also natural, and I think you just know, and you're just like making space for all the feelings of like, well, this is natural, I get it, I accept it, I will have a rebirth, I will have a growth phase. That's the natural order of things. But it also can be a bummer to look at aspects of life, different places or people that are in growth phases and being like, oh, their life is so exciting and mine is just falling apart. But being like, but it's fine. I will come back into the growth phase. It doesn't mean it's not a bummer, but like that's the natural order of things. And that's where I'm at. But it doesn't mean I can't be bummed out a little bit. And I think you're just allowing yourself to feel what you feel because you understand. You understand it. Okay, let's get some insight into this. The Smith, overthinking, taking action. So another thing you may understand about yourself is like it might be easy for you to get into overthinking mode. You may sometimes struggle against your better judgment of knowing the cyclicality of things, that you may try to force growth to happen or push life in different ways. It's sort of like I feel this funny tension of like, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this because I feel the cycle I'm in, but like at the same time, if I feel like this aspect of me wants to grow, shouldn't I try to do that? And there can be an element of that that's natural, but like sometimes you might get into your head and just like impulsively go and take action on something that's not quite ready. Because there can be aspects of life that are growing and aspects of life that are falling apart at the same time. Yeah, and it might just be that because you understand cycles, you try to like get a jump on them before like spirit kind of opens the breath of life to it. You are like, oh, I see it coming, so I'm going to go and do. And it's like, no, get out of your mind and wait for it to open to you. You're not the one that opens the unfoldment. It opens to you, but because you understand what's about to happen, that's what it feels like. It's like, because you're so natural at seeing patterns and cycles, you're 2 steps ahead of where that unfoldment actually is. So you're always kind of trying to get the jump on it, maybe. And it's like, get out of your head and that future knowing and wait for life to actually open to that. It's fine to still know and have some anticipation, but don't force it. Wait for the unfolding, wait for the opening, wait for the natural, the way, right? Okay, let's get some tarot cards for this. And this again is like, you already know this. I'm like This should be stuff I'm just confirming. It might provide a little clarity for you, but Page of Wands, you see the potential in so much. You see the potential in everything. You have so much creative potential inside you. So I get that taking action. There's just like an eagerness in you. And then with the Ace of Coins too, again, there's this eagerness, it's like you have so much clarity. You can see the potential of things. And so sometimes you can be a little bit, like it's not a bad thing, what I'm about to say, because we all have ego. We need ego. Ego isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when we are coming too much out of our mind and trying to make things happen rather than spirit, opening things to us and then using our mind to know how to approach it. It's like sometimes you can come from that ego place of trying to make it happen. Whereas if you found a little more restraint and waited for the way to open to you, I think you would find a lot more empowerment in feeling like life is aligned with you and working for you. Because when you try to kind of jump ahead and push things, it's like there's less sacrifice there. Yeah, 'cause like when it's coming from soul, it's like giving our life to something. But when we're coming from our head, it's like trying to make something happen then rather than giving ourselves to something. So if you just find a little restraint and wait for those ways to open to you and respond, it's like you're giving your life to it. And that is an act of sacrifice, and that is what's called the way. And so just like a little bit of pulling back, a little restrained, even though you sort of see what's coming, you get out of your own way, and life will just feel like it's much more naturally in flow for you. I hope that makes sense. And then Page of Cups, there's so much eagerness in you, so much power and so much eagerness in you, but just a love bug, such a love, just seeing so much potential in life, such a purity in there as well. In some ways it may be a little naive or childlike, but that's part of your kind of like enchantment too. I think you're quite enchanting. But yeah, like a little bit of restraint will go a long way for you guys, for sure, like a huge way. Let life unfold in front of you and give yourself to it. You need to do more sacrificing of yourself as life unfolds to you. Okay, Snake, Kundalini rising channel, your creative passion and sensuality welcome the transformation. So this, I feel like, is referencing back to maybe currently what's going on for you with this part of you that you probably are very aware of. Like maybe there's an aspect of life that is coming to an end that feels a little bit like it's falling apart. But this is saying you're very, very much so on the verge of that kind of rebirth, of a phoenix moment, of coming back into a growth cycle. So just hold on a little bit. You are going through a transformation right now, but you'll feel your power rise very soon. And again, I think like tapping into what we said here, like don't try to get a jump on it. Relax into what life is unfolding in front of you right now. Give yourself to what is opening to you right now. And even though you may know what's coming, just be present to what is, though, not what is going to be. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, last row, we are going to look at something about you a little different from the top row, where this is a part of you that's part of your design, but it's never really been pulled out of you and made from a natural talent into a real tangible skill. This is a part of you that is so strong, such a powerful part of your design, so like elder status, so stable, so pure, so just impeccable, but you completely underestimate it because it's, you know, when something is so natural to us, we can just assume that that's natural to everyone, like that's common, like what's so special about that, that's just what it is. And it's like, no, if you were to, like a supercomputer, be able to be in 10 million people's heads at once and then compress the data around this quality, you would see that it is entirely rare and so special, and so needs to be wielded, you know, with more awareness of that and more focus of how special it is, and so how needed it is, right? And we've got fecundity, rain. Let's see, we've got to push these up a bit. Just trying to get them all in the frame. Come on. Okay, I think I can see it enough. So fecundity and rain, this feels like fertility to me. This feels like, it just feels fresh, it feels fertile, it feels luscious. That smell after like a summer rain is what's coming to me. Where things just feel alive, they feel sensual, they feel fresh. So I don't know, like I feel a freshness about you that you may be like, doesn't everyone feel that sense of freshness? It's like, no, they don't. Not even close. Doesn't everyone feel life as sensual and beautiful and fresh? Something to be savored, like you're very connected to your senses, I feel like. And the hunter. That's interesting. I want to get a dice for that because I don't want to contradict what I said up here. We didn't roll a dice for this middle, but I always feel like if I forget to do that, it wasn't meant to happen. I'm supposed to keep that more general. I do want to roll a dice for this, though. 6th house, purpose. This hunter is throwing me for some reason because I feel a connection to this top row, but it's like a little bit different. And the hunter's throwing me off. I think I also need a planet because I want to get very focused with the hunter. It's like something's very focused here, so I want to feel very focused. Okay. So, while you do have a general energy and sense of yourself that's about to kind of come back into its power of being like this polymath and starting to embrace that and develop that side of you, there's another side of you that has a very, very deep, this is more of like your internal function. This is more to me like a way you're supposed to be functioning in the world, but there's this internal function that's a different thing that is very purposeful, it's very spiritual, and it's very fertile. Like there's endless imagination, there's endless growth to be accessed. That it's like you have a very, very strong spiritual core that it's like you're very aware of. You know this core. You feel it as like a guiding thing in your life, something that gives you some motivation and drive in life, something that does give you some focus and a deep sense of purpose, but it's like a very personal thing. It's not necessarily the thing you're supposed to do in the world, but it's part, like a part of your design that makes life feel sacred to you. It's very personal territory. And so you do have this connection to life that is very sacred, and it's very fertile, and it's very focused, and very spiritually driven. And I just feel it as like holy, and like it gives you sort of an aura of it gives you this sort of sacred spiritual aura around you. But I think you have this, you don't recognize, because it's so second nature to it. You know, it was like you were born with this, so you don't really get that, like, this isn't something most people have or experience inside of themselves. And so it's sort of like you really need to understand the importance of this and how it really creates solid foundations for you and helps you to feel very grounded and held in a certain energy. And I almost feel like this would be something that would be designed into you to counter this really kind of butterfly polymath energy that is being asked of you, asked of your external energy in the world. Your design then gave you some internal energy that's very on solid foot, very focused. And that's what allows you then to externally be a dreamer and be a weaver, is because internally you're very, solid and sacred and purposeful and spiritual. That gives you the foundation to externally dream and connect and weave. But this feels like, I do feel this thing to say that this feels like, okay, my battery died, but it's charged now, and just finishing where I left off, I was about to say that there's something about this quality of you that's very strong, very stable, that feels more like an internal purpose, like this side of you that's very focused and spiritual and purposeful and sacred and fertile, is like something you need to do and tap into for yourself to feel a sense of stability inwardly. It's like something that nourishes you and grounds you, and it's not necessarily something you should feel pressure to share in the world, especially like in a very external, professional, big picture way, like, fine if people close to you, but it feels more like that foundation for you and like private life, but it's like very important, and it's something that gives you a certain aura, but it's not necessarily something you have to do something with in a bigger way for the world. this is the stuff I feel like you're supposed to do for the world, and this is what's supposed to hold you and ground you and nourish you and replenish you, and it's like very personal. It feels very personal to me. But because there's that 6th house thing, I do sense like some of you may feel like it's part, and it does feel so purposeful to you, and it is incorporated into your general lifestyle, but some of you may feel that, like, interpret that purpose as something that needs to be your purpose in a bigger way in the world. Let me just light this candle. I forgot I blew it out while I was charging. But I just get this sense that it's something that's that like the more you try to externalize this and share this as a gift in like a big way, it no longer becomes that thing that rejuvenates you and grounds you and nourishes you, because it's not in that safety of your private space and in your depths anymore. You're like trying to push it outward. And so I just want to say here, become aware of how special this is and how amazing and just how rare and amazing and gorgeous this all is. But also don't put pressure on yourself that this is something that has to be something big in the world. It's designed to hold you. If people close to you, it feels nourishing to share it in that way, great, but don't put pressure on this of like the reach of it needing to be something other than what you need for you to stand on. So I don't know, something about that came through. Okay, let's get your tarot cards for this row. Well, we'll continue with the tarot cards. We need the Citadel card first, though. Sort of the guidance. Astronomer, discovery, augury. Yeah, again, I'm just feeling it this very spiritual sense in you. It's fertile, but it's also very cosmically and spiritually in touch with something, but it's the design of this in you is it's meant to nourish you. And if you put pressure on it beyond that, it may lose some of its focus and some of the grounding it provides you. But yeah, it's like, but there is so much beautiful inner discovery, beautiful spiritual insight, just very in your foundations, in your depths, just like very much so connected to source. And it's really beautiful. Not that can't inspire some of these. I don't know why it's I didn't get this in pile 1, but such a strong sense that this is supposed to be the thing you do, that you put pressure on and reach for and are in the world, and this is the thing that's supposed to hold you privately. And it doesn't mean that can't like give you a certain aura and inspiration that feeds how you do some of this weaving and pollinating and connecting and butterflyness. But it's like, but don't put the pressure on this more focused spiritual part of you to be something, other than what you need it to be for you. Okay, and then we've got, for the tarot, we've got 8 of Cups, Knight of Cups, and the Hermit. Yeah, there's something I wanted to talk to you about with the tarot deck, but I'll do that very last since I forgot to do it at the very start. Yeah, this is something that gives you some centering, that calms your energy, that gives you a very particular, indistinguishable, specific to you instinct that makes you singular. And just knowing that you just have to be in that, you don't have to do from that. You just are that. That's like your aura, but you don't need to create with that and like make that understood in the world or make that something that you center your aspirations around. I don't know why this message is coming through so strongly. I mean, I get it because I feel like there is a lot of inspiration and beauty here, and you would naturally want to share that, but I just feel like it's the thing that gives you a particular instinct. But it's not like a thing you have to put pressure on. It might make you very poetic, just in your instinct and who you are and who you naturally present as in the world. Like very poetic and very individual in your instinct. Yeah, and the Eight of Cups is walking away from something that wasn't built correctly or that's like falling apart. And this to me is confirming it's like you're not supposed to build with this, like build this into the world. It's supposed to be the ground you stand on, and these other things can build off of that and be inspired. You know, use this as its grounding, its inspiration, but like, I don't know, it's so funny that it's like there's some, even though this is so strong and particular and rare and beautiful in you, I think you've misunderstood what its purpose was, though. And it's like, no, this is like really personal energy. Don't try to like build it to be something. Use it to feed you, to nourish you, to support you inside of you and in your private life. It will give you a certain aura that's sourced from this, and you don't have to do anything then. You show up that way, people see you that way, but even though you're not like sharing it, you just have that aura. But then what you do is like really reconnect to that movement, that pollinator, that mover and shaker, the weaver, the person that's making all sorts of connections and building community. And soul tribe sticks out here again. It's like this is something that needs to be more consciously developed and used to reach in life, to find your summit of the mountain, that position in life. Such an interesting reading, how this came out as like comparison and like opposites. But I think that's maybe something Spirit wanted to really help bring clarity to you around. Because maybe it's been tripping you up a little bit. Yeah. But I see it as so beautiful, and I do just see you showing up in the aura of this, but then like what you actually do and build and stand upon is the connections. Yeah, okay. Let's get the last animal card around this. This one wanted to come out. Butterfly emerging. Take the leap of faith. That's really funny. I mean, what I feel here is emerging into an understanding of the purpose of this. and letting that then really feel that fecundity, because you can keep it more private, and that really starting to add that nourishing, because it is like that fecundity, it is fertile, it's colorful, it's fresh, it's beautiful, it does have a butterflyness to it, but it is more focused and grounded at the same time. But I feel like when you start using this for the purpose of grounding you and nourishing you, rather than trying to put pressure to do something with it, you feel more free, you feel more vital, you feel more yourself in the world, which is this, more able to use this as your foundation to then be that butterfly, to leap into the world, to do what you're supposed to do externally, which is being the butterfly. Yeah. Okay, and then the last thing, I forgot to talk to you guys about your tarot deck at the very start, so I'll just add that in right now. There was intention and sort of a vibe. I don't always do this, but sometimes it feels right. In this reading, I did use the different decks. They had a vibe to them that kind of gave a very, very general typing to this pile of being a little bit pragmatic, a little bit more earthy of a person than, in that, we all are made up of the elements. We all have air, fire, water, earth. We all have it all, but we always tend to have one that's a little more weighted. So are you more pragmatic? Are you more intellectual? Are you more emotional? Are you more passionate? Which one is it for you guys? And for you, this one is a lot more of like an emotional quality. It sort of has a little bit, is almost, this one to me felt like a combo actually of like a little like half water, half fire in like your main theme of you, where it's like a little bit passionate but a little bit emotional, someone who can really connect to the big picture and narrative, but someone that also isn't scared to feel things and move things through you. This pile wasn't one specific element. It kind of had a concoction of fire, water, which could turn into like a steaminess, which is a very, like if you were to be in a steam shower, you come out feeling fecund, you've come out feeling refreshed, right? So that's sort of an energy here. It's like a humidity in your quality, that in your sense of being, there is like a humidity there that is quite refreshing, is quite restorative in its nature. So anyway, this is where I'm gonna leave you guys. Hopefully that break that happened, I think I picked up, I don't think I skipped a step when I had to restart, but I apologize if I did in any way. But yeah, really beautiful insight. I hope it was helpful. Really, really interesting and quite amazing energy to read. So very impressive people. I love it. I love the clarity that Spirit was really trying to use, like comparison. I thought that was very interesting, but I think really helpful too. So anyway, if this resonated for you guys, I always appreciate support. Easiest thing is a thumbs up, the like button. If you are not a subscriber yet, I always appreciate that. And if you want more readings like this, definitely make sure to subscribe. If very deeply resonated with you, send it off to a friend to try too. And always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments as well. So thank you for letting me read you and letting me into who you are, like really beautiful energies. So yeah, I hope to see you in future readings. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading, all about some insight into who you are through the lens of spirit, trying to help bring you a bit of a tuning fork to really understand things you need to bring out of yourself more, things you're already, that are just like confirmation that you already know, and things you should be more aware of because they are so much more powerful and strong and beautiful than you are realizing. Okay, so jumping into this, we're first going to look at the category of a thing you're not totally aware of, something that is like maybe a natural talent in you, but life has not pulled it out of you to the forefront to like really hone into a skill. Before we jump into that, about your tarot deck, I don't always do this, but sometimes I feel inspired to kind of theme the general piles, and so the different decks did hold some themes, and your guys' deck was sort of like, you know, these are just very top level general vibes, but this pile may be more pragmatic people, more realistic, more practical, more concrete, which makes you real keys, like really seeing things through a realistic view and wanting things to be realistic can kind of make you a key to making things like manifest and happen in like really material ways. Yeah. Okay, so we will just put your tarot deck here because I'll be using it on and off. So looking at this part of yourself, Spirit wants you to be aware of that, you know, you really just haven't, whether it's like the phase of life or just circumstance, just really hasn't been pulled too much out of you. You probably have a sense of this, but like, oh yeah, I mean, I would love to connect to that, but for some reason, just like life hasn't, that hasn't really been pulled out of me in this life. But Spirit is bringing this up because it's about to be pulled to the forefront. And so it just wants to bring your awareness to something to kind of like prep you that like this part of you that's sort of been latent is about to like really be pulled forefront and kind of developed in a bigger way. So we've got cleansing and storms. Interesting. And then, oops. And then we've got the castle. Okay. Oh, I like this. I like this. I'm going to push these up. They're going to be covered by the plant a little bit because I need to make room for 3 rows. But for a minute, I'm just going to keep them out here so you can see them. My sense of this, what I love, is I think that you have a part of you that is actually a really amazing liberator, that really has an understanding of like seeing when you or others or humanity is sort of playing it safe, living inside of the walls of life, really not opening life up to the variety that is possible, and hence a certain kind of like feeling of freedom and flourishing that is possible. And you have this side of you that really knows how to electrify that and like engage that energy that sort of breaks out of the walls, that gets more daring to explore outside of the safety zones and comfort zones and bubbles, and can really kind of push energy to awaken and to open up to new ideas and to sort of cleanse your mind and perceptions that have been too much in a bubble, too walled off from from what is, and I think that comes from like wanting to be connected to reality. And sometimes if we put ourselves too much into a silo or a bubble, we actually aren't connected to the whole of reality. We're connected to a reality, but not like a prominent reality in the big picture of the world, right? And there's something in you that I think is, I'm getting this energy of like feeling eager to start it and step forward that part of you that's like, I know what it is to be stagnant and to want to play life safe. I understand the draw to this and the safety in that. But I have this side of me that wants to dare to go beyond that. And I think I have a side of me that like could excel at that and do something with that. And it's time. Something either in you is going to awaken and you'll push yourself into this, or some kind of life circumstance is going to open this up for that part of you to really come out and explore and awaken and be a catalyst for others to do the same. Okay, so we're going to push this up a little, but you still get the sense of it. I still think you get to pretty much see the cards, so it's all right. Okay, and then Castle. Let's get I kind of want to get a planet for this one for some reason. Like in what kind of archetype in you is about to do this? Mars, so like your whole direction, the way you create order, the way you assert, the way you fight and initiate and create order and create paths and have a certain clarity and assertiveness in life, that part of you, it may even be that archetype in you in general that's waking up. But if you already feel connected to being assertive sometimes and, you know, having a clarity, having a boldness, then that's just being directed in a new way. But if you don't feel like you've connected well in the past to kind of an assertive, bold, strong archetype, kind of a warrior archetype, that whole archetype might be waking up. That's like, I'm so sick of living, you know, playing it safe, living safe, being safe. It's time to really like push out and get the reality of the broader world, and to be brave and bold about, you know, daring to be out there and forge new paths for myself and be someone that knows how to build and knows how to initiate things in the world. Yeah, so really interesting. Okay, we're going to get a Citadel card to get some kind of guidance around this for you. The Sailor, new influences, wanderlust. Yeah, so you may be going on like some new travel that really shakes this part of you awake. Or something may happen, like, you know, something like a new job that requires travel, or a spouse that has to, you know, is transferred, or you're transferred for your job. Something like that, it feels like. Where it's like you're kind of pushed to change your environment. That definitely is kind of what it feels like. You're changing like your environment, and it's awakening this kind of like new warrior aspect of you that's like ready to shake things up and be bold and awaken others as well. Okay, this card was falling out. Page of Wands. Yeah, there's an eagerness here. I feel like even if you don't already sense this happening, you may be feeling excited by what I'm already saying here. 6 of Pentacles. You're going to be supported in this. I don't know if it's like a new job or a promotion, a transfer, or like coming into some material resources that allow you to be a little more free and kind of push out of safety. And then 7 of Wands. Yeah, it does feel like a new job for a lot of you. And something where it's like, if there is a job coming up where you're like, or like a promotion or a job coming up where it's like, oh, I don't know, that would be a really competitive, like, could I win that? It's like, no, go for it. You're actually on much higher ground. You're on the high ground here, and you may not realize it. But it's because life is designing, you know, Spirit is designing for this part of you to come out. So like whatever's caught your attention, it's because it was meant to catch your attention. So it's meant for you. And there's an eagerness. You're going to be given resources that make you feel more stable and free in life. Really cool. Okay, let's get an animal card to end this row. Koi carp, abundance. Move with the flow of abundance around and through you. Yeah, there is something about like an uptick in finances in some way that maybe give you the courage to feel more free in life, to break out of some bubbles, to go explore a little bit more, to be more bold in life. Yeah, so that, I mean, that's cool to hear. Okay, let's move on to the part of yourself you're more conscious of, you've been working on, that probably sounds, you know, like this should just be more confirmation, like, yeah, Spirit, like, they've got me right. That's good to hear that confirmation. I'm accurate, and this is something I love about me, and I've worked hard on it. And okay, so connection and the biome. All right. And then the Father. Okay, so it's like you've been working, there's something in you that works really hard, and this is 44 too, which adds up to 8, so it kind of feels like a master number. And then this is a 2, but it also looks like 11, so that's like another master number. So this is very electric energy too. I feel like you have a certain mastery and focus and structure of really understanding. I don't even know, there's probably a word for this, so I apologize if I'm talking about a concept that I'm sure exists, but I don't know the terminology. But it's like, you know, you can look at ecologies, so how in a location, how everything's affecting everything, and it's like everything's actually working in some kind of harmonic rhythm if you were to study it in like an environment. But it's like beyond that, it's like how ecologies of, you know, the ecology of the rainforest and the ecology of the sea next to the rainforest, and then the ecology of that arid desert that's above it, like how they interconnect, so how ecologies have their own ecology, so how different the different ecosystems of different places actually have a much bigger effect and affect places totally different and far from it than realize. Like, this makes me feel like you're so aware of patterns in this like big picture way, almost to the extent with these 2 double numbers of like it sometimes even being hard to know what to do with that, how to make some kind of cohesive understanding, or like recognizing what to do with it. But it's sort of like, but you do also trust that like you have a certain focus and you have a certain ability to structure things. It just takes time. So there's this like deep trust in time and deep trust in the big picture patterns and figuring out how they all piece together and how everything affects everything in like a really, really grandiose way, like really huge way. So yeah, there's something about that, like a real expertise, a real mastery here coming through. Okay, let's roll a dice to see if we can make more specific connections. 7. The way in which you do this is like, it's also like, how do different ecosystems relate to different ecosystems? How does the biome of the world harmonize? How do all the different ecosystems harmonize to create that whole biome of the world? So like really understanding like the harmonizing patterns, how things relate to each other, like deep patterning and understanding relationship of ecosystems. And that doesn't have to be like literally Earth ecosystems. It's like the pattern, there's ecosystems it's really like processes, like understanding systems and processes and how one system and process has a relationship to another system and process. And really understanding relationship and connection, and then how to harmonize and develop relationship there. There's like a deep mastery in that. And it can sometimes feel a little destabilizing to you because it's a lot. It's big energy to hold. But this is I feel Spirit coming through saying to like really trust yourself though, because the only reason you would have this design is that you can hold it. And you do have the ability to kind of structure things and make sense of them and know what you're supposed to build off of that kind of understanding and ability. So it's just like, but it's like time, patience, that understanding and knowing how to build with that doesn't come overnight. So it's like you've also had to develop a lot of patience, I think. Okay, let's get some guidance around that. The Sentinel, determination and certainty. Yeah, I mean, that connects with that father archetype too. It's just like a real clarity of focus here. And that determination, even though sometimes you may feel overwhelmed or in over your head, it's like, but I know if I stick with it, I know if I'm patient, and I know if I'm focused and determined, I will find the key to open the door. I will gain access to what I'm supposed to be doing with this, or open doors in my life because of what I've done with something. The Sentinel. I actually don't know. I mean, I'm very familiar with that term. Where is the guidebook for? I just want to. I know the term the Sentinel. I'm very aware of it, but I'm all of a sudden realizing like I don't know for certain what that even means. So I'm just pulling the guidebook because I want to see. Sentinel, I feel like would be in the court. I guess not. Maybe the academy. Yeah. 82. A figure stands at the gates, faceless in their armor, hidden by their great shield. The sentinel is the pinnacle of guardianship. Oh, they know the value of what they protect and what they will give in order to keep it safe, which is also the father archetype is kind of a protector too. They have their orders and they will not leave their post no matter what comes to pass. The sentinel is a representation of extreme focus, of security and knowing your position and purpose in the world. It may feel as though forces have been conspiring to tempt you away from your goals, but you do not let yourself be swayed. Balance unexpected situations with rational thought, and the outcome will be worth 100 times any distraction that may befall you. I mean, I'm mostly just connecting to that that protector, extreme focus, the guardian. So it's like the guardian of like some really sacred knowledge and really, really big, almost like downloads given to you. That is what it feels like. You've been given and given access. You've been downloaded, you know, you get downloads, but also you are granted access to certain wisdoms that not everyone is, because you have a certain focus and determination and protector instinct and integrity that is uncommon, that is amazing. And so you are granted some really sacred kinds of information of like really understanding, yeah, how different systems, ecosystems, any systems actually have relationship and can harmonize, and when you help that happen, can really create a new quality of sort of like thriving and beauty and elegance in the world. Yeah, it's really, wow, quite potent energy there. Really impressive. And this should all be stuff that's like confirming things you at least know to on a certain level. Hopefully it's giving you a little more clarity too. And then we got the World. You are like so, wow. Three of Pentacles. Yeah, you know how to like put things in order, how to design, how things are supposed to relate to each other to build something really beautiful, and how different systems can find relationship to help that happen. And you're just like masterful at making things whole, at making things successful because of that. And honestly, this is like an intense and really difficult energy to harness. So I would imagine for some of you, it's like something, you know, like, yeah, I'm in this, but some of that, like that success you're talking about, maybe I haven't felt yet, but this is sort of like, yeah, but you know you're going to stick with it, right? At some point you will come into knowing how to weave everything together, how it all fits together. And with that will bring you that success that you sort of know is behind it all. But this is something that you don't come into overnight. It's something you develop over a long time. And I think even over lifetimes you've been developing it, but like in this lifetime, it's supposed to be something that brings you some success for sure. But that might not be till like a later stage of life, unless you already feel like you're experiencing that. Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, and this is tapping into like what I felt like you're very pragmatic people, realistic people too. And you know how to hold and nurture material life. You know how to make material life thrive. But I feel like it's when you come into that mastery is when this will, it's like I feel like a lot of you are like, yeah, this resonates, but I haven't maybe manifested completely this. But it's like, when it manifests, like you are the person that could be the spearhead of building the, like the Sistine, whoever was in charge, like spearheaded the Sistine Chapel. It's like that could be you, but in this lifetime with something, your own though. It doesn't have to be as like grandiose as that, but like, that's the energy you're harnessing, and it takes patience. Some of you may be like, yeah, I feel like I'm there, but I feel like most of you will be like, I feel like I'm working toward that. Really? Wow. Wow, who are you guys? Okay, and then leaf cutter ant. Army of life, ask for help, seek support, you are not alone. Yeah, the things you can orchestrate, the things you can harmonize, this is sort of like collaborative energy, or like the general too, like a general archetype, which could be father too, like a general archetype. Because it's like, you know, the design, you know how things are supposed to harmonize, so you know how that system is supposed to work with this system. And so it's like, even thinking about, you know, building something like the Sistine Chapel, it's like, well, okay, I need the stained glass person, you know, the person that makes stained glass windows, I need the actual architect, I need builders, I need all sorts of sculptors and other kinds of artisans, and this, and you know, there are like so many components to building any, you know, even a house. But it's like, you're the person that knows how all of these systems are supposed to plug into each other, and when goes where, who goes when, how different ones need to work together to be efficient, and the best ways to help be the diplomat and the bridge to harmonize, you know, because there can always be tensions with the different factions. And so like, whatever systems you are interested in, it's like, you are the one that has the big vision of how all those systems are supposed to be in relationship. And by helping be that bridge for the relationship, you bring out how that relationship actually enhances the beauty of each system. And so that makes an eagerness to want to work together and want, you know, the system of this and the system of that to have a relationship and you know, collaborate. Okay, last we are going to look at an aspect of yourself that is really, really special and rare and amazing in you, but something that, because it's so, like, it's something that is so natural in you, like you were absolutely born with this, that you just, like, it's natural, so you just assume everyone is like this or has access to it, or it's not anything interesting because it's just so common to you. This is showing you something like that that's not, though. Like, if you were to turn into a supercomputer, but in the version of like a human brain, and plug into 10 million brains, and then download and analyze the data, and then come back out and be like, oh, this thing about me that just seems so common and nothing is spectacular. Like, it's so rare. And so giving you that perspective that because of its rarity and specialness, like the way you should be valuing it and how you should be leaning into it, and what it can do for you to make your life feel more special and amazing. Okay. So richness, marine life. Try and make these all fit. Okay, good enough, right? Okay, so marine life, richness, which feels like again, sort of like an ecosystem in the box. Okay. Fascinating. Let's roll the house dice with this too. Whoops. Creativity and leadership. I mean, in a way, I feel like this connects a little to this row that was meant to be something that you like have awareness of. But I was sensing going through this that like you do, but you maybe don't recognize like how genius this energy is, even though you're like aware of it and really working with it and like doing stuff. This is like picking up on that thread to showcase something about, is like, because within yourself, you have a lot of, internally, a lot of variety and a lot of richness within yourself. You've forever had to learn how to harmonize aspects within you because there's a lot of, it feels like you're a very diverse person internally. And so you've, from day one, had to learn how to harmonize aspects of yourself, because of that versatility you possess, a very rich versatility. And it's made you very creative. But because you've had to do this inwardly, it's like now you've been mirroring this outwardly, but I don't think what you realize is that it is a mirroring of your internal self, that you yourself are an incredibly diverse, in a very rich, beautiful, sophisticated way, person. I actually, the box coming up here, this is not coming up, this is coming up more for me as like something you need to be aware of, not something about you, that like, I think you put yourself in a box of thinking that you're not as richly, vibrantly, gorgeously diverse inside of you as you are. You put yourself in this box of like, I'm just this, I'm just George, I do my thing, nothing special, I'm just a normal person. I feel like that's the box you put yourself in. Like, I'm just a person, I'm just George. But it's like, you need to see like, no, yeah, you are George, but like, you're crazy amazing. You have so like just a rich depth within you that is so rare. It's like someone could, like any single person in the world and through history could ask you like a random question, either easy or complicated, and the things you would pull out from inside of you would just be like, the people would be like, where did that come from? That's crazy. That's so insightful. And that's, just like beautiful, rich insight, And that's what Spirit wants to say to you. It's like, you're so inwardly creative. You're so vibrant and rich and diverse and flourishing inside of you. And you like don't understand that, not like what you feel inside of yourself is like, in terms of like a creative richness, is like most people feel 100th of that or something. And it's like, test that out. Like, notice when people ask you questions that require some kind of insight, the things that come out of you, and then go ask someone else that wasn't privy to that conversation the same question that person asked you, and see what comes back to you. Start experimenting with that, because that's how you're going to see how special you are. The richness and the vibrancy and the vitality of the ecosystems that creatively thrive inside of you. You have solutions that are endless. You have insight that is endless. You are not this box of just George. You are a box of rich, crazy insight that I don't even know how to touch. Like, I don't have articulation for it, really. Okay, let's get some guidance here. The Puppeteer, explanations, apologies. I definitely am getting something weird here. Like I think it may actually be obvious to some people how amazing you are, but how little you know that. And I think people use that. Sorry, does that hurt? I think people, yeah, and this is sort of like the more you start to recognize this quality in you as like really profound and special and unique and rare and amazing, the more you will create, instead of being a box of I'm just Allie, create some boundaries of like who has access to this. And you will stop feeling these, like I think you have a subtle sense of like, yeah, I feel like I get used a lot, but I don't understand how or why or what that's about. And it's like, it won't take much for you to get it. Just start doing what I was talking about, like notice the insight you give to others and then go ask the same question to someone else and realize how like vacant it is compared to what you came up with and how special it is. And then start putting boundaries then on who has access to that and how that access should be valuable and not just sort of like, you know, I mean, at times it's worthy to be given, but at times that might be worth something in the world, you know? It's like creating different boundaries of like when, why, how, should, you know, the access to this. And create boundaries of people just sort of like using it willy-nilly. Because whether they consciously or unconsciously see that you don't recognize certain things about yourself, I don't know, consciously or unconsciously kind of go in and selfishly use it without like appreciating you. Yeah, okay. Star, oh, I love this. I think you're really on the precipice of like really understanding this and seeing it. And so now having like a new, like really soon coming into this new sense of hope and belief of like, oh, this is so special about me. I didn't get it. But now that I get that, like this is sort of a guiding, you know, like it's such a special thing. It's like a star quality for me. And so that can really be something that helps me to shape my future and should be used to help me imagine my future and design my future. And I see you walking away from the life you have right now, or at least the way this is functioning in your life, towards that new belief, towards using it as like this guiding star, this special feature. Two of Swords. But before you can do that, you really need to get an intuitive grasp on this. I feel like you're coming into that new power of understanding, and that might kind of excite you and stir up some ideas and emotions, and then get you overthinking and then being like, okay, well, which way do I go with this and what do I do? And this is sort of saying like, calm your mind, go into meditation. Your intuition will tell you how to move forward with this, how to connect to this in a way that's empowering and not having its power just like leaked to anything and anywhere and everything, like how to harness this. Like I feel like you have this initial impulse of hope and excitement, but then and like this inspiration to walk away from how you've allowed this to be used, but then all of a sudden spinning out and being like, wait, I have 1,000 ideas. What do I do? And it's like, calm yourself, still your mind, and drop, you know, like get out of your mind and into intuition, and you will know exactly how to move this. Once you know what it is, your intuition will really be able to guide you in how to use this to empower your life. Okay, last card, we've got the Bat. And it's starting to get dark in here, so I'm trying to, I might have to turn a light on so I can see this. Okay, it says you are working through deep soul patterns, release any outdated beliefs that surface. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been feeling. Because you've been unaware of how special this is, and that it's not just like common in everyone, there's maybe been some patterns, and I feel like it's a leakage of the power of this, of just like letting it be. Okay, sorry, my battery died when I was in the middle of saying something, but I rewatched the very end so I know where to pick up. So I was saying with the bat, like you're releasing some soul patterns right now. So I think you're starting to get aware of this. And what that soul pattern was sort of like, because there was an unawareness of how beautiful and rich and amazing your inner insights and ecosystems are, you've just been letting the power that it contains leak to anywhere and anything. Which is what we, I think, already kind of talked about. But yeah, this is indicating that you're getting a grasp on this. You're sort of releasing some things already. So this may, in a way, be somewhat of a confirmation, but like really clarifying and illuminating some transformations you feel like you're already sort of in the process of. But hopefully with this insight can make you even more intentional in what you need to protect and what it is that's very capable of empowering you, and how to build some precision and empowerment in the access you allow to this. So all right, that is where I'm going to leave you. Really, wow. I mean, I don't know what to say, like really profound people. Thank you for letting me read your energy. I hope this resonated. I hope it was insightful. I hope I did it justice, because I feel like some of this stuff was hard to articulate, like just like really advanced souls, I feel like. So I did my best. Would love to hear in the comments how you feel this might relate to some of you. I'm just curious about you guys for sure, like really profound people here. Okay, anyway, if this did resonate, I always appreciate the things like, share, subscribe, and definitely always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments. So yeah, this is where I'm going to leave you. I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are, and I hope to see you in future readings. All right, see you guys. Hello, Pile 4. Welcome to your reading, where we are going to ask Spirit and the cards to give us insight into you, who you are, and in 3 specific ways. So initially we are going to look at something about you maybe have like an inkling of, but it's an aspect of you that's never really, for whatever reason, circumstance, resistance, just something that is part of your design that's never really been called forward. And the reason why it's being talked about and, bringing insight to you about this part of yourself is it's a part of you that is about to be called forward, to move from sort of this place of maybe like a natural talent into some growth where it becomes like a legitimate skill. Okay, so that is what we're going to start with, and then there will be 2 more things, but we'll go through those as we get to each of them. So this is your tarot deck, which I will be using in each of the categories we look at, but to start out, I want to get the theme of what this thing is about you that is about to be called forward, to be more prominent, more forefront. Wildness and electricity. And we're going to do an archetype card with it in tandem. Ooh. And the warrior. Ooh, very bold. Okay. So something is coming through you. It's interesting because I didn't necessarily have this thought in my mind when I designed the reading, and it didn't pop into my mind as I was doing the other 3 piles. But when I was talking to you about what this first investigation into who you are was going to be, about this thing that's been more pulled forward, I had this thought of like, I wonder if Pluto moving, because Pluto is a planet that moves very, very slowly, and like the past 16 years it's been in Capricorn, and it just moved into Aquarius for essentially the next 20 years. It will dip back into Capricorn for a couple months in the fall, but then it will be 20 years in Aquarius. And I had this thought of like, I wonder if Pluto has some resonance with why this is being pulled forward, but I didn't have that thought with the others. So there is something with the Pluto transit that I'm feeling connected to this. And so when I see these cards come out, that makes so much sense, because Aquarius is the sign that would be connected to electricity. It's connected to like lightning, electricity, technology, out-of-the-box thinking, innovation, and it's a really big risk taker. So that wildness and that seeing kind of like that light release, it's liberating. It's a liberating energy. So something about you that naturally has this design, like some Aquarian energy in it. You don't necessarily have to have planets in Aquarius or rising sign, but maybe there's planets in your 11th house, or something that Pluto moving into Aquarius now has an aspect to, like a specific angle that like illuminates something in your chart. But it's like something naturally in you that knows how to liberate, how to be original, how to connect with kind of like revolutionary causes and movements. And so like when the warrior came up, that felt very resonant to me, like this aspect of you that really knows how to like fight for causes, fight for freedom, fight for just liberation in general, is like really getting called forward. And this could be in big or small ways. It might just be in your own life where you're really needing to fight for your freedom in something, or you may feel called into some movement and really step up as, like a soldier or a leader or an organizer or something for certain causes, for certain liberating causes. But certainly it could be more personal, just like needing in your own life to feel more liberated and fighting for that, or something more in your own little community, like whatever it is. But this is an aspect of you that is sort of going to very soon, if not already, be pushed up forefront. Like it's kind of been taking a back seat in your life until now. And it may just be like, like I'm definitely picking up some astrological timing with why this hasn't been activated. And it's like, this is the transit where that part of you was waiting for that to happen. Let's roll an astrology dice to get even more specific, like an area of life this might pertain to for you. 12th, so spirituality. The 12th house has a lot to do with art, spirituality, compassion, love, mysticism, but it can also relate to institutions. So anything that has a very complex organization, like really having to hold a lot of complexity. So government, hospitals, prisons, universities, anything like that. There could also be association to kind of liberating energy with things that are like more tangible like that. But for some of you, it could be like maybe you're artists and you're now really seeing a way to use your art as rebellion kind of thing, or mysticism as rebellion, your spiritual side as like more free and important. Maybe there's a side of you that this thing that's being called forward that is spiritual in essence, but also sort of revolutionary and out of the box. Maybe it's just you know, like you maybe purposely have kind of like held it in the background because the timing hasn't felt like appropriate or something. And it's like maybe you toy with it, but it's just like kind of for personal pleasure, because it's like the world isn't ready and you can kind of sense that, but like now it is. And so like this really electric aspect of how you hold complexity and composition and art, mysticism, anything like that is just like needed and looked for and respected. And yeah, it's just, you know, like I almost feel like the world calling this out of you and you being like, oh, okay, they're ready kind of thing. Okay, so I have to make room for 2 more rows below here. So I'm pushing this up. It will be this card will be a little bit covered, but I think you still can, I'll try and move it so you see it as well as we can make it. But yeah, okay. So we're going to get a little bit of guidance now about this as well from Spirit, the Musician, inspiration, gratitude. So this definitely feels maybe artistic in nature, or if you don't connect with that idea, you may want to look into, you know, like taking some music lessons, learning an instrument, learning music theory. It's interesting that this came up, I feel like, for another pile. I'm pretty sure it was this reading. That's fascinating. But inspiration, you know, the keywords under it are inspiration and gratitude. So I don't think it necessarily has to be music, but like really tapping into inspiration, which really connects with that 12th house category. Music and inspiration are associated with the 12th house. So there is this very spiritual, artistic element. So I do feel like maybe like art, you start feeling inspired to make in this like loving way. Like gratitude feels to me like there's like not through this anger, but this deep love for like what could be, like how to entice people into liberation rather than like getting destructive about liberation. I don't know. There is like a double side because you do have the warrior here too, but I do feel like, you know, the warrior in the sense of like a peaceful warrior, an inspired warrior, you know, like Gandhi or something, or someone who creates revolutionary art that inspires people to break free or think differently, or, you know, so something in this vein, stories that you make, film, and you may even also find your inspiration through like music and writing and art and film. Those things could inspire you in creating your own sort of art as well. Yeah, really cool. So something very artistic about to come out of you, which, yeah, there may be a learning curve with it, because I feel like it is part of your design, but it's not really been used a lot yet. So you may even need a little bit of training in something. Like, don't feel nervous about like taking lessons to learn a new kind of medium if you're feeling called to. Yeah, this does feel very new. And I think your mind is feeling very clear about the purpose and about spreading hope and peace. But your mind is strong. There is like a very deep clarity coming through. When this feels called forward, it's like you'll know exactly why and what and how, and maybe what you need to do any extra training in, or if you even need to. You may, you know, for some of you, you may not. Two of Spears is going to open up a whole new path for you, whole new adventure. And King of Pentacles. you are also going to feel this aspect of yourself step forward that's really commanding and pragmatic, like really knowing how to create practical plans and project into where this is going to take you materially, in terms of like what would you need materially and what do you need to attract in materially for it to be sustainable, for this to be something that you're not just giving away, but that supports you as well. But it's just like you're, yeah, definitely kind of like stepping into your power in like a very worldly way, on top of this very kind of artistic energy, which is really, really cool to see. Like, I wonder if your King of Pentacles has also been a little bit in the background, or if that's something that you possess all around. Might be person to person, but like, how do you relate to feeling like someone that's really great at planning and growing things and projecting into future and holding kind of authority and being kind of the person that holds the responsibility on your shoulders for things and people underneath you, that you're responsible for. You're responsible for keeping them safe, keeping them secure, on top of this thing that it's like you're building something with this. Like, I don't know if you're going to end up building a business with this. For some of you, it could just be that like you have this real strong authority of knowing how to make this practically applicable in the world, and something that can support you in the world as well. Very cool. Okay, just a last sort of note from the animal realm about this part of you about to step forward. Elephant, grounding. Ground your energies and emotions deep into the earth. I think that's great advice from the animal kingdom, because that electricity and wildness, as well as that 12th house and art kind of energy, can get a little bit, like really into the higher chakras and kind of ethereal energies. And oftentimes we struggle to recognize that we have to ground those in order to manifest them into our reality. And so the animal kingdom is just coming through to remind you, like, these are very high vibe type of things coming in. But be aware of the practicality of grounding these things to make them real, to manifest them into the world. So practicing grounding will help your king, like, support that King of Pentacles part of you, also connected to this, how this is coming forward for you. Okay, next we are going to be looking at a part of you that is very much so forefront right now, that you are conscious of, you're aware of, you've been working with in a conscious way, and that should be very just sort of like confirmation, like, yeah, right on, spirit sees me, that's so accurate. So we'll just ask to see what part of you Spirit wants to just kind of confirm to you, and maybe it's sort of like this good job as well. Groundedness, gravity. So I do think that this grounding aspect of you, this King of Pentacles aspect of you, is maybe something you are used to, something you've already kind of been working at. Whether or not you feel masterful, there's something I feel like you've been working hard at to be more grounded in life in the last little bit. I don't know if Pluto's connected in general to your reading, but I'm feeling that sense because it's just come out of Capricorn in the last 16, been there for the last 16 years. And that is an earth sign, and one that would, have some strong King of Pentacles energy to it, of like holding responsibility and authority in very tangible, pragmatic ways. And so maybe yeah, side of you in the last 16 years related to that has been, you know, developing and molding and, yeah, moving from that maybe a natural thing in you into a refined skill set you have. I feel Spirit wanting to say like you've graduated, like maybe this is something you've worked really hard on and you've kind of graduated and you do now have this like status of really being able to stand in this ability to really shoulder things, plan things, find practical application, make things have gravity. You really know how to make life and things you're building have gravity. Really cool. Let's see what archetype is connected to this. The cave. Oh, that's interesting. So this may be a part of you too that like you really, it comes from like a soulful place, and maybe you've been doing a lot of inner work on this, like really trying to understand inwardly how you relate to making things have more gravity, understanding your personal values and relationship about the material world and holding responsibility and building in the world. I do get this sense of like, you know, you naturally maybe have that energy to know how to build things, but like having a tenderness with it too, of like wanting that to be done in a very integral way, especially in a world where like consumption and privilege and, you know, just like there's so many sticky subjects when you get into holding power in our current like modern constructs. And I feel like you've been like, well, I have that ability to do that, but I don't want to do that unless I understand how to do that with soul, how to do that with tenderness, how to do that with like humaneness. So I do feel this thread in you that is very like caring of the earth and caring of humanity and the conditions, and really wanting to be responsible in the way you build things. And I think you've been deep within trying to figure that out for yourself. But I think the time is now right for things to be built in the way that feel right to you. And that's why this is coming forward, that top row. But I think you've been really inward the last 16 or so years, really inward, trying to work out, trying to mold that builder, responsible aspect of you. Yeah, beautiful. Let's see, do I want a house or a planet? I actually want a sign for this. Let's see some quality around this. Leo, you are a leader. You have creativity, which does connect to showing that like you are a kind of like a creative person. You have strong leadership capacity. You know how to be in the spotlight, but I think you've been hiding from it. Look at these eyes. These eyes are hiding. You've been hiding from your ability to hold the spotlight, to hold leadership, to show your creativity in how you can build and give gravity to things, because you've wanted it to feel integral and good and humane and protecting of Earth and its creatures, you know, and its nature. But I think it's ready to come out, because interestingly, Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. And so maybe that there's some Leo aspect of you, some leadership aspect of you that is because Pluto would now be opposing that Leo energy, would be activating it as well. It's making an aspect to that. So it's sort of like challenging it to step up and to move with more exchange, more collaboration, more, it's like that group energy is starting to kind of press on you to try and get into exchange with your leadership ability, because it sees your leadership ability matches the humane and innovative quality that the masses are looking for. So it's like you're the right leader for these times, even if it's in something more personal, even if it's just personal art that you pull forward. It's just like the right time. And you've been, so if you relate to having been inward and really honing and working and trying to more deeply understand how you build and how you lead and how you hold responsibility in the world, and maybe just in the last month or two starting to feel that being pulled out of you to like activate, yeah, I think it's like there's some deep connection to Pluto going on in this reading for you guys. Okay, let's get a little guidance. The botanist, parenthood legacy, and that parenthood feels very, very accurate. Like you're very concerned with wanting to do things in a beautiful way, in a thoughtful way, in a way where you are stewarding things, not just kind of using things and hoarding things. And it's like you want to build with the care that a parent would take to raise a child. You want to create legacy, build things that are lasting through this really tender, humane, thoughtful, responsible kind of lens. Yeah, and I just don't think this last phase of Pluto was great for that way of building. It was very status oriented, and I don't see you as status oriented. I see you as feeling a deep responsibility to Earth and the masses, and yeah, just like more idealistic things. Really beautiful. Okay, let's get Eight of Grills. I actually wonder if some of you did try to build things in the last 16 years and they just did. It's like you didn't feel like they were built right. And you've had to kind of leave them behind. And when that white stag shows up in any of these cards, it's like the significator, and that would indicate you. I feel like that's actually your soul, that stag, and that's you, and your soul is sort of like whatever you've been building in the last 16 years, like it was great practice, but the timing was off, so things got wonky, and it's trying to show you, your soul's trying to like show you like this way, this is the way, come build over here. It's okay to walk away from something you're already feel like you're walking away from. This wouldn't be like, you know, me or the card saying it's you're walking away from something. Don't try and think of like, oh, well, I have built this thing and like, is this telling me to walk away from it? You would already feel your back turned towards something. Like you're already in the process of trying to decide to walk away from something that this should relate to. It wouldn't relate to something you've not considered walking away from, so don't worry. But yeah, notice if there's something you've put a lot of effort into that you've worked really hard to build, but that you're already kind of questioning. You're already sort of turning your back on it. And you're already feeling your soul kind of calling you over here, and follow that. Follow where this like stag is leading you. It's a new journey. I'm just reading the image here. This isn't really an Eight of Cups thing, but so often in a lot of, especially like Celtic lore, journeys, you can be kind of pulled into a journey by chasing a stag into the forest. And that like kicks you off into a new journey. And I feel that in this image, like something is trying to get you to chase it into a forest, which is sort of like a new realm type of thing, the new world. Yeah, interesting. But I do think it's your soul asking for this, but something external may manifest that you end up chasing that kind of takes you away from something you've been building and towards something where the way you want to build and the way you know you can build and the way you've been really inwardly molding and grappling with is now, it's like a much better time, and this is trying to show you where you can build that way. Whoops. And it's like it's okay to leave this thing you already have your back toward because the ground is fertile over here. It wasn't fertile over here. It's like you could build the same thing, but you were building it. It's like planting a specific plant in a zone that wasn't meant to thrive in. And this is like, well, you can plant that thing, who you are, what you build, over here. Follow me. I'll show you the zone where that plant would thrive. Look, we have the stag again. It's definitely trying to tease you away from things. There may be distractions where you're like not seeing this call. You're not seeing your soul trying to pull you in this direction because there's like all these potential options around you right now. And they're just distractions. Like you need to really follow where your intuition is taking you, because it's trying to take you to like a whole new world where this part of you that you are very aware of and have been really cultivating and working on in deep inner ways can thrive, but you're kind of distracted right now. It feels connected to the Eight of Grails too. It's sort of like your back is towards this thing you've built, but there's all these like potentials coming up of like, well, maybe if I did this or that or connected or partnered or this and this, like it would start to work. And your soul's like, no, just go to where I'm calling you. And it won't even be like starting over. It will just, things will just thrive. Don't keep trying to do this. Nine of Pentacles. And this feels like when you follow that stag finally and really leave, like actually leave the thing that you're already sort of considering leaving, you find where like so much more beauty in life and where everything becomes fruitful. And where you feel like a greater sense of self-sufficiency, self-sustainability, self-sovereignty in a way that's luscious, in a way that's beautiful, in a way that's easy. Yeah, which just confirms like your soul, like the door has opened to somewhere much more fertile for how you build in life and what you're trying to build. Over in the distance, but there's some resistance. And it is very early, like Pluto has just moved. I think only the moon and Mercury maybe. I can't remember if it moved in before Pluto. But so far only the moon and maybe Mercury, and now today as I'm doing this, Mars have crossed Pluto, like ignited brand new seeds of Pluto in Aquarius, and Venus, by the time I post this, Venus also will have. So it's like things are just starting. These planetary archetypes are, only a few of them have gotten their assignments. And those assignments always just start out as seeds too. It takes a year for anything to be really seen, but then there's 20 years of that to happen. So don't, when I'm talking about this, don't like be hard on yourself, like, yeah, I do know I need to leave it, so I should just step away. Like, be gentle with it. Like, your soul is trying to tease you towards these fertile lands, but as more planetary interactions happen with Pluto in this new Aquarius zone, you'll notice more and more. It will become more and more evident and clear. And it's sort of like, this is inevitable. This is where you're ending up. Yeah. Okay. Let's get an animal message for you. It's interesting where like I really felt these areas talking about an aspect of you, talking about you. And this was like, this section with the tarot hasn't always been advice. Sometimes it turns into advice and things going on and stories, but sometimes it just adds to reading your energy. So it's interesting. A lot of these have kind of come out as like story and timing. So anyway, just something interesting I've noticed in your reading. Wolf, heart medicine, let go of that which does not serve your highest good. Beautiful. So your heart is really in charge here, and it's trying to get you to go to where you can be that mama wolf, where you can lead your wolf pack in the way you want to, and towards where your heart, like fertile grounds where your heart feels it's just in its medicine and it's held and it's fertile and it's open. So mostly I'm feeling like look forward to this. You may be in the thick of things kind of shaking up in your life in terms of something you've been trying to build or cultivate or understand about yourself. And I think, like over the next year, you're really going to start to get this and start to follow your heart and your soul into these more fertile lands where this is called forward, the top row, and where your King of Pentacles archetype, which is very tender and motherly and parently, but also commanding and a great leader and creative, is like can really be in its light. Okay, next, the last thing we're going to look at, let's see if we can actually push these this way to see them better. The last row down here that we're going to do and look at is going to be something you're very aware of about yourself, but that you're completely underestimating. Because it's something so innate, so inborn, but also so masterful that it makes this part of you really rare. It's like you don't understand that this is not normal because it's so second nature to you, and it feels common to you because it's so easy to you. You just assume that it's common and it's normal. And Spirit is wanting to help you to see that it is not. And so like a metaphor I've been using in the other piles, it's like, imagine if your brain could become like a supercomputer brain. And suddenly you could be in the mind of 10 million people at once and then compress the data to kind of compare this aspect of you, like where it's like a tuning fork, like where does it fall in the spectrum of how people hold this. You'll be like, oh, wow, this is not common. This is a very special part of me. And I've been completely blind to that. I'm very aware of it, but I've been blind to the fact that it's not just sort of common. So we're going to look at what that is to help you use this part of you with more intention and more respect for its rarity and specialness. Life, breath, beautiful. Let's see how this is going to fit. We've had to kind of let's see. I'm doing this reading. I did all the readings, all the piles but yours yesterday, but I kind of ran out of time for yours. So I think when I reattached my camera, it maybe moved a little because it used to fit a little better. Okay, There we go. So breath and life. I'm going to get your archetype card first to get a little more context about that. The Destroyer. Very interesting. I think you have a very strong capacity to understand the never-ending sort of, how do I want to articulate this? Like that creation is never ending, that life is always in cycles of birth, transfer, you know, we go from like birth and potential to maturity to transformation to death to rebirth. And I think you just have such like it's not even an intellectual knowledge of that, because I felt that come through in a different pile, but it felt maybe a little bit more of like an intellectual understanding of that. But it's like just in your energy, just in your body, and in this deep just sense and trust that like there's always possibility, there's always creation, life is always remaking itself, and creativity is always remaking itself. So there's this like freedom I feel in you to just like live and to not be so bothered by, which gives me a lot of positive feeling about what I was talking about up here about needing to leave something behind potentially. It's like, I actually think your body knows this. Maybe your mind isn't getting in the way, but like your body knows this. It's like, don't worry. Your heart and your body are very strong in the sense of like, creation's never ending. Don't worry about destroying things. Don't worry about leaving things in the dust, moving on when you need to move on. Like, things have to decompose. Sometimes we have to knock things down in order to rebuild or to provide food for things that are, you know, incubating or starting to grow. It's like all part of this cycle, but I just feel you really connected to the breath of life, to spirit, to that energy that animates us. And this trust in following, and again, this is not in an intellectual way. This is just in an intuitive sense and in following your body. Like, I really think you're maybe like a kinesthetic learner, and you really just follow your body well. And there's this like your body knows so much more than your mind knows, and so you just have this deep trust of like following what is unfolding in life, no matter what phase of a life cycle things are in. It's just like your body knows how to sacrifice itself to whatever is unfolding, whatever stage of anything is unfolding. You know how to sacrifice yourself to this and really give it, which allows the way, is what it's called, to really unfold in front of you. And I'm here to tell you that most people are terrible at that. Most people live so much in their mind, and they try to either force things to happen or force things not to happen. And I just feel you give like just so easily just moving with and sacrificing your energy into whatever is unfolding. And that means that you're like a favorite of spirit, of creation. It loves your energy because you understand creation. You understand that it's never ending. It's always unfolding. It's always creating, which means that some things are always dying. And you're just like, just that, such this instinctual, intuitive, somewhat even unconscious trust in life and in the universe. Which some people may then look at you as like this person that is so capable of destroying things. Like, that might actually terrify some people, but you understand that that's powerful. There's a, and with these owl eyes, there's this deep wisdom, this insanely deep wisdom. I want to get a planet related to this too. And this is your South Node. Yeah, this is something you have cultivated over many, many lifetimes. And it's a comfort zone for you. Excuse me. Excuse me. Wow. Oh my goodness. That came out of nowhere. That means something too. I mean, sneezes is like, it does feel sort of like a big release of breath and life. And destroy, like there is this like destroying an old energy in you or something. I don't know. I'm just feeling into what this feels like right now. Yeah, you just give yourself over to creation, even if that's a destructive creation. But yeah, with the South Node coming up in relation to this, it's just like it's very comfortable for you. It's very ingrained. It's something you work with very easily. And if you were to be able to be in 10 million brains at once, you would see that maybe 0.2% of people function with this much trust in the unfoldment of life and breath and creation and destruction, and just in the trust that it doesn't matter the phase, because creation is always alive. Your breath is always connecting you to creation and animation. Yeah, so that's something to be aware of, because I do feel like it's not something you intellectualize or that you've maybe have a lot of thinking around, but sense into your body's trust. Like really start to pay attention to how your body just responds to life, how it just responds to creation and destruction just so easily, and how that's such a powerful asset to have, of just being so unafraid to give yourself over to whatever cycle is. And I think it's something, even though some people may fear this aspect of you a little bit, it's also a very generative energy, like your never-ending ability to generate. I think people do. And it may not be like this initial recognition, but people that have known you for some time probably start to pick up on this of like, okay, this part of that person that was always a little, I don't want to say off. It doesn't feel like it's off to them, but like that's a little bit free with life, like a little, that wildness coming through here too, just like a little bit free with life. That's a little, like most people are like, I'm a little uncertain of how to approach that. Like they're too free in their life. And is that dangerous? But over time, people come to, that people you've been around and that can observe and witness you come to see how powerful and how never-ending generative energy comes from you, and want to be a part of that. So it's like people who have been around you for some time, and all of a sudden it's like a light switch goes on and they really want to engage with you. It's because they've finally recognized your never-ending generative energy. And they're like, whoa, that is so insanely powerful. Like, I want in on how they do life. I want to be around them. I want to soak them up. So you may notice like people initially having this push-pull with you, but after some time, people really just like surrendering into wanting to be around you. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, so we've got the alchemist balance, invention, destruction coming through here again. Yeah, also you're not scared again, like some people may find something they value and they're like, oh, I just have to hold on to it and keep it exactly how it is and protect it. And that just trust in life where it's like, okay, but you have silver and this could be gold. Stop protecting the silver. Let's see what we can do with this. But it's like in this instinctual way, in this intuitive way. It's not like you're thinking about it. But yeah, I think it scares people because they're like, okay, but like why, when good is good enough kind of thing, like why mess with something that's good enough? And you're like, well, why settle for good enough, And I think that scares some people, honestly. But you have that alchemist energy of like, well, I'm not settling. And I'm not scared to ruin something because I'm I'm a generative. I am life. We're all life. Like, why are you scared to ruin something? You can just generate it again. So why not try to make gold out of this? And so you're willing to like experiment. You're willing to work on and develop processes that do take precious things and liquefy them down and mix them and make something more precious. But sometimes that goes wrong, right? And I think people who have never really been willing to engage in that kind of work are just like, what? No, like, don't mess with this. And you're like, why? This could be so much better. Like, we have to mess with this. So I do get the sense that there are probably a lot of people that are very scared of like engaging with you, especially in like business or creative work or like whatever it is. They're just like, but this is good enough. Like, why do you want to mess with this? These are high stakes. And I don't know. It's just like you just have this belief that like, yeah, but we'll just like, we can never end in our creation. So like, why are we so scared? So it takes actually really brave souls to like to be able to even witness how you work in that way. To notice that and even understand. Like, I do think it's rare souls that will get this part of you. But when they do, when people want to really step up, especially people who have known you for some time, really want to step up and support you or collaborate with you, trust that they are getting you in a way that is very deep. New people that want to collaborate or work with you, you may have some push-pull with. There may be a lot of resistance in those relationships. But for you, the thing to know that's so special, that you should really value and start working with more, is your trust in life, your trust in creation. And I hope this also maybe gives you some insight into easing some attachments your mind has right now and something you might need to be walking away from, or soon will feel like that. It's fine. You're just going to create again. You have never-ending creation because you give into it. You meet it, And then we've got 6 of Pentacles, 2 of Grails, Knight of Pentacles. I do think you have 1 or 2 very, very special others in your life that understand this about you right now and that are wholeheartedly supportive of you and a champion of you and investing in you. And unafraid to. It's like they may not understand why they are investing in you, because maybe you are, I do sense you've been in a phase of like the building, the creation you've been engaged with kind of being difficult. But there's someone around you that like sees you on that deeper level and they're like, it's fine. This is an investment. Things, will turn around. And I just get this feeling of like, I actually get this as a message from the universe that you will always have this. If someone were to disappear that has this energy for you, I'm not saying I don't see any indication that they are, but my sense is that you will always have this. So if one person you've felt this from, even think back on your history, like who has been your champion, and did that switch at some point? Like life took you in different directions, or like maybe that used to be a parent, but then it became a spouse. There's always, and I'm just saying that there's always going to be someone there that's like your champion, your supporter, that invests in you, because they see your soul. They see this, it doesn't scare them. I don't think they're the same way, but I think they see it. And they're just so, it's like they understand on this soul level they're supposed to be a supporter, your other half, so that you can be engaged in this creation of life. And this engagement in creation and destruction, and experimentation, and alchemical magic, and there's someone that's just a champion. There will always be someone that's a champion for you in this. And I feel this isn't talking about someone specific right now. I feel this as a message that this will always be here. So find security in that. Find comfort in that. And some gratitude toward Spirit and the universe for that being designed into this aspect of you. Like this is part of this design, is that there's always a counterpart that's supporting you. And it doesn't have to be in this way of like being dependent on them. But this energy is one that has a lot of maybe ups and downs. And it's possible some of you have been in that down cycle for a while. And so this counterpart, a parent, a patron, a spouse, a great friend, like whoever it is, something will always be there because it's part of this design. This design doesn't exist in people without a counterpart that's more stable and supportive. And I think this energy attracts it because it's so open, it's so trusting in being caught. It's so trusting in the universe catching it that this naturally just appears for you. That's part of that design. Wow, that's really amazing. Okay, let's get a last card here. Lion, honor. Honor your soul and celebrate your journey. You are a favorite of Spirit. Not saying it has favorites, because I don't necessarily think it does. But you work with Spirit so beautifully that it just endlessly gives as much as you're open to getting. And so it's not like it favors you, it's just that there's an abundant energy there. And the quality of life and creation that is in you and around you is honorable. I think even people who are a little scared and reluctant of your energy see in your aura this leader. They see in your aura this just deep connection to, trust in, hence shining strength of life force. They see it in your aura. There is a degree of respect naturally around you. It's just that some people, like a lion, it's not always approachable. It's a little scary. You're not just going to go pet a lion, right? Because it's like ferocious with life, you know? And I think some people sort of tiptoe around you, not because you're someone that people have to walk on eggshells around you. It's like they don't, it's nothing like that. I see you as a very beautiful, approachable soul, but the way you do life, I don't think a lot of people are so spiritually and trusting and deeply connected to source to be brave enough to really approach. But from afar, they admire. From afar, you are admired very, very strongly. Yeah. And always someone who's willing to approach you and walk alongside you and invest in you and support you. So beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous reading, you guys. Oh, wow. We're at 57 minutes. That was definitely the longest one. I guess I had a lot more energy because yesterday I did all my readings and then I ran out of time. So I'm only doing this pile today quickly. But yeah, you got an hour. So there you go. All right. This is where I'm going to leave you guys. I hope this resonated. I hope it was insightful. If so, I always appreciate support. Easiest way is a like. If you're not subscribed yet and you want more readings like this, definitely subscribe. Always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments. If this really resonated, send it to a friend too. And yeah, I wish you a really beautiful upcoming time. I think this Pluto transit is like just getting going, and I think it's really favorable and really starting to put your strengths forefront. And I think you're going to start to feel that very soon. So congrats on that. That's exciting. And yeah, I hope to see you in future readings.